Wow, Guillaume.
Hey, Harald.
Sonia introduced you to say, when we saw the solution, it was efficient and it was amazing and saving, and it was crazy, no?
Yeah, it was, right from the start.
It is crazy.
Very counterintuitive. Crazy, yeah, I've heard it a lot, but what's the, the line is fine between the genius and the craze, right?
Take us through, let's say, this journey. How did you see the opportunity, challenge, but as a startup guy, obviously you see, okay, there's a big problem, here's a solution. And then some details about the vessel, because it's obviously so impressive.
Well, looking backwards, certainly my youth and where I've come from certainly has influenced it a lot, because of course I sort of sense the power of wind. We use wind a lot for pleasure-seeking business or for yachting business or for racing on behalf of sponsors, but what is the point of going around in the water and using that sail for no other point than just going around in the water? So, and no one was really able to actually harness it into the speed or route it, and everything came in the 2010s as new vessels were coming in. Well, there were traditional vessels that we started working with. What is the actual relevance of sail cargo in a world that is only looking big, looking only as the cheaper the better, because that's what shipping industry is about. It's 90% of the products around us. It's still 3 to 4% of world's emissions, which is about twice that of Germany, 4 or 5 times that of France. And we can't reduce it because they don't exist to us. They're in the international waters, so they legally virtually don't exist. And they're within that black box of the container of the shipping company that retains that information that you eventually pay for, but that you can't really know about in full transparency. So the disruptive challenge was to understand that shipping industry was not going to decarbonize, and this is what we sort of thought 15 years ago, and what actually turns out to be real, not going beyond the sort of smoke screen or sort of mirrors.
Even the latest announcements of their association are pushing to 2050, or just...
No, but they may well say whatever they want. The only laws of physics will ever apply. It's fine with these nice graphs, but, it's look at future generations in the eyes now. It's not only, or what we call the very fuel-centric approach, that because we're in such sort of energy-centered and fuel-centered world, at least in terms of maritime shipping, that going outside of new fuels is something that it's not even possible. So a sailing vessel will suddenly drift, that the whole hydrodynamics around it will need to be totally redesigned, as well as a rigging. We have never built a rigging which is a masts and sails in our modern world. So that's what we did. The shipping industry hasn't suddenly been able to challenge itself enough to come up to that level of decarbonization. This is what we're offering now. Sometimes, what is a wind farm? Isn't that just the good old sort of windmill of the Middle Age somehow? Being sensible is not always looking at some things that no one understands anything about. It's also looking at getting real. And the reality is that we are able to be really powerful in terms of riggings now, that there is a real value in transport. Is not peanuts. No. It does exist. There are dockers, there are sailors, there are ship makers, there are ship owners in general. So that's what we want to put in value, a bit like in the organic field or in the sustainable field in general. If you manage to give a product that sort of relates it to its terroir, to its origin, that sort of seminal umbilical relationship it has to the soil, to champagne in English happens to be le champagne for those of you that speak French, which is the wine, obviously, the sparkling, most noble wine of France, but also la Champagne, which is obviously the region that to the descendants of Mayflower somehow as something very deeply ingrained in their mind that is important to be revealing. And if you decarbonize, you give value to your ability to project yourself. I think 98% of the cognac is exported, something like 60% of champagne. We work a lot with coffee on the imports, with Belco, with several very large brands on massive scale. 100% of the coffee obviously is imported because it doesn't grow here. If you start projecting yourself and want to be real, concrete, immediate, start decarbonize now, and the physician inside you is sort of looking at LNG or ammonia or hydrogen with a bit of a sort of, let's say, necessary doubt about its ability to be up to the level of the promises they're making. This is what we offer. Tremendous technologies, carbon mast, routing that comes from the sort of large sort of racing technologies. And Anemos, as you saw, is built in France. It's currently in Concarneau, southern Brittany, and we are quite proud of it. Operations are starting in a couple of months' time. There's hundreds of people working on it at the moment. There's going to be sailors going at sea in a few weeks for us, and obviously having, Martell and Mumm and Perrier-Jouët, these three houses, and the group as such, with the shoulders of the giants, for us has been something entirely game-changing, not only because these sort of corporate multinationals were suddenly getting interested in us, but also because they had exactly the same vision. They knew that the other big guys weren't going to decarbonize no matter what, and they wanted to decarbonize their own footprint, be able to tell about what they do in the vineyard, what they do in the distilling process that they also decarbonize, and then you come with a large sailing cargo ship, and one image is 1,000 words, right?
So take us back to maybe the first meeting with either big corporate or here with a house and say, well, I have the postcard, look at this. How often did they send you away?
We were moving 20, 50 pallets across the oceans of rum, coffee, cocoa, and across the Channel to the UK, etc. And from Pernod Ricard, Martell Mumm Perrier-Jouët, that was peanuts. That wasn't even the cherry. But we had been working on new designs, obviously on new plans, and we came out and said, you know, we've got 1,000 pallets with 10 sailors. We're going to keep the freight rates
Everything
low.
is on Euro pallets in the cargo?
Well, any pallets will do, yeah. We've got, we've got 6 hulls, 3 decks, and yeah, it's all loaded in pallets, yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
So it's not like some kind of container?
If we put it containers, we would have lost about half of the payload, and we would have a soapbox like any sort of container carrier. We wanted these fine lines of what is required from the sort of hydrodynamics to have a proper fast sailer, because we said to Loïc that we were able to make it from Le Havre, the mouth of the River Seine, to those that don't know, la puissance du port du Havre, the largest port of France, to New York in 13 days. And it happens today.
Is that faster than Greta?
It happens, well, I'm not sure about Greta, but I'm sure about the way a pallet of Mumm is moved at the moment. It goes into a container and out of the container in New Jersey. It takes between 28 and 35 days.
All right, you cut it in half even.
We are slightly slower.
Yeah.
It might seem paradoxical, but because you don't have to transship it, you're not sort of congested in terms of containers and terminals, etc. And we're faster eventually. So we actually move the cargo 10 days faster than what the polluting container carriers will do. In terms of reduction of the carbon footprint, we have 2 very small engines. We're looking into how to change these fuels too, because we have to, in 2024, do our port maneuvers, our channeling into the port approaches with thermic propulsion. But 99% of the time, we are able to hoist the sail and keep that 10.5 knot speed, which is about 17 kilometers an hour, to New York, to Colombia, to Brazil, and back each time. We cargoes back. We also delivers cargo to the south. And on each leg, it's at least 90 to 95% reduction, sometimes 99. And we are able to convey that message to the end customer with a carbon logbook and a label called
Let's
Anemos.
talk about messaging on the brand. One part is you give a little icon, new sticker emoji to Ruben. So maybe because there was a cargo bike, new thing, but maybe there's a sales shop now. Where's Ruben? So we put him in
Thanks for your presentation, Ruben.
Sonia. Obviously, this is a fantastic, exciting, crazy project, and but it gets real. And so, what does it mean for you, for your role? How do you brand it? How are you messaging it? And how is that, let's say, part of your overall, let's say, maybe new initiatives and actions you do? But one big thing is, well, there is a first launch, but you're committed to really go all the way. So let's maybe see on your side on
Yeah, it's
on the
certainly
vessel.
not a one-off. It's really the first departure, and now we're rerouting and using tote for our shipment to the US. Because it's efficient in terms of timing. It's the same timing because we slightly longer on the sea, but we gain time in the harbor because it's not congested. It's a true decarbonization, and it answers our needs also in terms of communication. As I said, for me, it's the illustration of what needs to be done to align action with commitments. Yeah. So it's very, we need it to achieve our target, SBTi target. We also, I think we have a role to play especially when we play in the luxury segment, to inspire, be exemplary. We have no excuse for the price. I think it's our role also to inspire new narratives. And the boat is just a very nice way to show our commitments through the line, from terroir to the end product. And for example, we have Mumm. Mumm, the brand is its heritage is around explorers, supporting pioneers to move to the next frontier. And for us, that also fits very nicely with the brand. So yes, to conclude, sustainability cannot be done alone. It's always a question of partnership, of coalition. And I think that's my end word is we can't progress alone. So it's our role as big company to find the right partners, also to work very closely with peers to make sure that we make those projects just thrive and come to scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was our oxygen, that was our fuel, really. Pernod Ricard coming alongside with us was not only volumes, long-term. I mentioned the cherry, it's actually the cake that we're looking at. We're going to be exporting massive amounts of cognacs and champagnes by sail. We were wary of potential partners that would have just done it for one shot for PR purposes. This is exactly the opposite here. And we are just about to announce that we are ordering 6 more vessels, so we are actually going to be operating 8 vessels on the transatlantic routes. So this is a very deep market, there's very large volumes, and we are extremely and positively enthused by the relationship that we have with Martell Mumm Perrier-Jouët and the Pernod Ricard company in general. Bear in mind, they've got bourbons, they've got people in Sweden, in Scotland, or in Ireland with #1 brands of the world that are also looking into it. Yeah. We've got cabins. And that's also a part of experience. We've got 6 double cabins per each vessel that might be going along the conviviality around the vessel. And we also age, just 10 seconds on this. I told you about the vessel being very fine, and it happens we've got that 7th hold in the front with no right angle, and it fits perfectly barrels. And we're going to be sailing around the Atlantic for 1 year with barrels of Martell for aging purposes. So this is not only something that will decarbonize from A to B, but that's actually able to transform product, to offer a new product. So this is something that's very intricate and very in depth in terms of working together with Martell Mumm Perrier-Jouët and Pernod Ricard. We'll export many more wines, product from the Opinel knives or Bonne Maman jams. This is indeed luxury with product with an identity that matter. And coffee, cocoa, or sugar is also something that's very key to us. We've got seasons in the vineyard, in the field. We've got seasons of winds, and we've got commercial seasons. You want to make it for Christmas. You want to make it for the harvest. And it happens they all fit very well together. So this is how we're going to start decarbonizing in a few weeks' time after that 13-year experience on traditional sailing vessels.
When you go back now to let's say the first time you went maybe to a shipyard to say, hey, can you build this? And how was this experience? And when there's probably 1 or 2 who said no, but if you look back at, okay, the first time somebody said yes, and how long is this now, the years?
Well, the technicians, the technicalities with the engineers, with the naval architects, really, they were all very thrilled. because of our philosophy, that was the principal sail propulsion. We want to be able to make most of the journey with all engines switched off, which i.e. makes you decarbonize by over 95% because you go all the way by sail. So it's not really the loss that we could have had in the past, weren't really coming from the technical side, more of very knowledgeable people that have read and spoken about everything, and that they think sail belongs to the candle age, and that is not by improving the candle that you make the bulb eventually. Ha 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 ha. Okay, but wait, sometimes, again, the innovation comes from where you don't expect it. And those that laughed too much we didn't work with, and those that understood that the meaning of their present was to find in the past the perspectives to the future, were certainly the ones that gathered together. Perrieux, the French naval shipyard to whom we actually ordered the vessels, 8 vessels is quite a bit, even to them. We met them in 2015-16, and as we say, it wasn't ripe yet, and now it is. Now we're their first clients, and very happy to be sort of hoisting the decarbonizing sort of initiative with a French shipyard.
So now the cognac will be served in the Explorers Club in New York upon arrival, or maybe?
Yeah, we're gonna make big parties. Conviviality is in our DNA, so we're gonna make a celebration when we leave and when we arrive.
Fantastic. Can we all go to Climate Week on your boat?
Oh yeah, that's in New York.
September.
When is it happening? September. Yeah, okay. 12 of you.
Yeah?
Have a free ticket, ask Sonia.
Let's go.
There's a golden ticket in each of the Mumm bottle, and if you have the right one, you may be able to cross on a sailing boat with me.
And you tried it one or twice before. If you start in June, in September we're going to be safe. The kinks are out.
No, don't worry, we'll be safe right from the start. Let me touch some wood, and we'll be safe from the start. Let's not talk about any issue that we'll have. We know we go at sea. It's a very inhospitable, obviously, place, and we make everything to be up to the level to the sort of merchant navy to go safely first.
Big round of applause, please, and good luck for this vessel to sail. Thank you. Merci.